Conference championship weekend came and went, and we have new AFC and NFC champions that are going to the Super Bowl. I was 2 for 2 this weekend, and the games for that weekend really encompassed what the NFL is like. On one hand, you had the AFC game, it was very defensive. Weather was a factor in that game, outdoor in Denver. On the other side of the ball, you had more of a modern look into the NFL. Two elite teams in the NFC Championship game. Offense was crazy, great plays, great talent over there on the NFC side as well. So we saw kind of both sides of the NFL, and it was great to see how different these games were, but how truly NFL both of these games were at the same time. Now, getting into the AFC Championship game, Patriots at the Broncos. I chose Broncos plus 5.5, and I was right on that. I did not expect this game to be a snowy game for the second half, and I was very, very surprised when I looked in the first kind of quarter of this game and I saw just how much confidence the Broncos had in Jarrett Stidham, and allowing him to make those big throws, allowing him to sling that rock around. It was surprising, but at the same time, I guess it makes sense. If you are here in the AFC Championship game, the Broncos without your starting quarterback, and you already know as coach Sean Payton and that Broncos team, the limitations or the ceiling that you'll have with Jarrett Stidham, maybe they decided that that was the way they're going to win. They have to win up front in the first kind of quarter, second quarter in order to win this game. And they look good for a second there. Stidham showed that he was able to make some big throws early. He kind of caught the Patriots off guard with that big bomb to Mims and ultimately scored. The big thing, really, and it happens mistakes with, backup quarterbacks and just in general in these playoffs, was Stidham doing that kind of backward pass turnover that allowed the Patriots to score 7 points, and the Patriots able to later on kick a field goal to make it 10-7, and ultimately the Patriots won. Very interesting that how the snow in that second half, I believe, was actually detrimental toward the Broncos. I think if it was a regular game, they would have had a better shot at the win. I don't think they would have necessarily won. I still think the Patriots would have won, like I predicted as well. But if you think about it, backup quarterback, that's already another kind of variable into this game, but you have weather as well. Even in snowy weather with all your starters and all the start and talent you have, it can be very unpredictable. So, and there was that questionable fourth down decision instead of the field goal that the Broncos made with their backup quarterback. Biggest game thus far this season. They lost by 3, and ultimately 3 points was what they were most likely going to get if they went for the kick. And a little bit questionable, but at the same time, they rolled with it. They went big, they gambled big that game, and they lost. It happens sometimes. The Broncos were in a way playing with house money. They were unlikely to be there in the first place. Number 1 seed, AFC Championship game, and they still have had a Russell Wilson cap on their books and dead money, which is kind of crazy. 32 million in dead cap just from Russell Wilson alone. So it was unlikely they were going to make it this far and make it this high in the first place. So it's a little bit of, okay, we know we're here, we know what we're capable of. Let's do what we can and swing big with this backup quarterback. It just didn't work. The Patriots now are heading to the Super Bowl with a quote unquote rebuilding team and a first year head coach. Very exciting for the Patriots. The Broncos next year, no cap, no dead cap, Russell Wilson dead cap. They might be dangerous next year as well, and for a few years after that. Now, heading over to the NFC Championship game, that was exciting beginning to end, and I had a different feel for, or as viewing this game, I had a little bit of a different experience viewing the Seahawks play this game. I felt that even though Sam Darnold isn't necessarily a big, I don't know if the right word is emotional, but he doesn't show off too often. He doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve, so it's kind of a little bit hard to read. But I did feel that even though this was a very back and forth kind of game, big plays, offenses rolling on both sides of the field, I still felt that the demeanor that the Seahawks had were a lot more positive and imposing on the Rams. It could have been also because they were at the home stadium and the crowd was just adding that extra layer of support that can help a team, especially in this NFC Championship game. Number one seed with the Seahawks, they absolutely demolished the 49ers the round before and they got a bye. So they were pretty fresh and they were pretty pumped to go against this Rams team. Division rival, third time this year. They were 1-1, so they wanted to prove a point as well that ultimately the Seahawks should have been number one and they were, and ultimately that they were the better team. And after this game, they were. A little bit interesting that special teams was really the Achilles heel of the Rams team, kind of this whole season, and that's what ultimately lost them the game. I still think if the Rams special teams unit was decent, I still think the Seahawks would have won this game, but regardless, 31-27 Seahawks. This was the game America asked for and they got. It was amazing to watch. And the big story here is that Sam Darnold officially shook off all the negative narratives that he cannot win a big game. It doesn't matter how he really performs in the Super Bowl. What he matters is in the biggest spot against this team that has been a little bit of his kryptonite recently. He got 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 127 rating, excellent, no turnovers as well. Amazing to watch. His demeanor was very level-headed, and you had a lot of positive energy around Sam Darnold. You can feel, and especially around that team as well. Kenneth Walker III is special, and it was incredible to watch what he was able to do on those plays, and that juke was nasty. I love the Seahawks, and I am rooting for them in the Super Bowl. And also, special teams, it is something that can be overlooked when things are going fine or when things are going smoothly or as expected, but special teams is still part of the team. That's something you have to be clean at and excel at if you want to give your edge to your team. So that's something that the Rams unfortunately were not able to do this season, and that's what ultimately cost them potentially a trip to the Super Bowl. So for the Rams next year, I think there's this question if Matthew Stafford will retire or not. I think he won't. I think he will not only go one more year, but I think he'll go and sign an extension with the Rams. I think potentially 3 more years. I see Matthew Stafford being with the Rams and having kind of a last hurrah and a last ride in those 3 years with the Rams. That's what I see and what I predict. The Seahawks, meanwhile, are going to the Super Bowl with a second-year head coach. Both of these head coaches, very interestingly as well, are defensive-minded head coaches. So a little bit interesting and a little bit against the grain of what a lot of us think in terms of an offensive-oriented league and an offensive oriented kind of trend to these younger offensive coaches as your head coach. So very interesting to see how this will pan out, and very interested to see which quarterback is going to do better in this showdown in the Super Bowl.